Occurred the 1st of March 1977, 12 hours 12 minutes and 0 seconds. Local location: Terre Haute, Indiana, USA. Shape: unknown. Duration: 2 minutes. No of observers. 1 characteristics: aircraft nearby, electrical or magnetic effects, noise and extreme light outside my windows. I'm not sure of the date or time, but I was in bed watching Mary Hartman, and the picture on the television went to snow, but the voices continued. Cable TV. Almost immediately, an extremely loud sound was directly overhead, like a jet noise. My cat started crying at the same time and his hair was on end like static electricity. I left the bedroom and walked down the hall into the kitchen, approximately 10 feet. The hair on my arms stood up and I had goosebumps. I never get goosebumps. As I went into the kitchen, I could see this bright light flooding into the windows through the living room windows as well as the kitchen windows. I did not see anything but the extreme light surrounding the house. Then all of a sudden, the sound and light was gone. The television was back to normal. It could have been less than 2 minutes or more. It's hard to gauge. I know I stood in the kitchen for at least a minute before the light and sound abruptly stopped. There was no fading out of the sound. The television immediately cleared up and within a minute or two, jets were scrambled out of Holman Airfield. I called the airfield immediately and asked them what had happened and they denied anything. I have never told anyone of this experience. I'm almost 50 years old. I'm not claiming to have been abducted. I truly do not know what it was, but it was out of my experience, then or now. After this experience, I always left a window open for belief in UFOs. I saw the special on ABC last night and felt I should at least tell someone for the record. I have not seen or heard anything strange since. I've tried to explain the phenomenon to myself for decades, but it must have been something. I would like to know if anyone has experienced this as well.
Occurred the 20th of June 1979, 13 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. Local location: Terre Haute, near, in, USA. Shape: changing duration: 25 seconds. No of observers. 2. It changed shape from a cigar shape to a circle and back again. After reading so many of your sightings sent in, I remembered my dad and I standing in our yard and Dad says, "Look at that thing, it's changing." It was indeed changing shape, from a cigar shape to a circle and to a cigar shape again. It appeared to be squirting along, like the shape change was part of its locomotion. This was a clear sky with a few high clouds. The thing appeared to be metallic, but it didn't show the sun reflecting off of it like an airplane. It appeared dull. Was going pretty fast, but not so fast as to make it difficult to see. Jets now go faster than it was going. Dad mumbled something about a UFO, but I think he was joking. I was 10 or 11, and am 35 now. I didn't think any more of it until I read that other people had seen UFOs that changed shape. Thanks for all your time and dedication. Name deleted.
Occurred the 25th of June 1982, 0 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. Local location: Terre Haute, Indiana, USA. Shape: light. Duration: 1 minute. No of observers. 2 characteristics: lights on object, aura or haze around object. In June, I witnessed a bright object on a clear night moving east to west, then vanish out of sight in 3 seconds. In June 1982, my fiancé and I witnessed a bright object traveling slowly from east to west. The night was very clear and the stars could be seen for miles. I got out of the car and for some unknown reason decided to look up in the sky. As I was looking into the eastern sky, I noticed a lighted object moving very slowly. I asked my fiancé to come and look at this object. She asked what it was in a very excited voice. I said, "I think it is a UFO." All of a sudden the object stopped in front of us about 10 yards away at treetop level. We were both getting a little concerned. The object or occupants in the object were looking at us maybe, but it was too far away to tell. The lighted object hovered in the same position for about 30 seconds. I was getting goosebumps and starting to perspire, as was my fiancé. Then all of a sudden the object moved to the west again slowly for a few seconds and then moved out of sight in about 3 seconds. It was just like in documentaries I have seen in recent years. Now the sighting was about 1.5 miles away from an airport and air guard base. However, the object made no noise at all. I know enough about planes to know that they make some kind of noise and that they do not hover like this object did and then all of a sudden move out of sight in about 3 seconds. I have been around aircraft since I was young, and my dad was a flight engineer on a B-24 bomber and WW-2. I wanted to call the air guard base, but I was afraid the airmen at the base would just laugh. However, many years ago, an F-94 from the base chased an unknown object, but gave up the chase after being outrun. I spoke to a UFO expert about my sighting and he told me he believed that the occupants knew we were watching them and that is why the object hovered for about 30 seconds. I have gone over this sighting in my head for the past 25 years and wondered what the object was. I have come to the conclusion that it was either Air Force test vehicle or reverse-engineered object flown by our pilots or an alien aircraft. It was state-of-the-art regardless of what the object was. The object in my opinion was saucer-shaped and very well lighted. My fiancé and I were married for about 9 years and then divorced and we had one son, now 19. He told me his mother showed him where we saw the object. I will say that I feel fortunate to have seen a UFO. I feel like a veteran and feel that it has changed my view on life differently. I believe there was a Jesus and he did walk on water, but I wonder if there was a scientific reason he was able to walk on water. Maybe we were seated here on Earth. I would also like to convey to you about an incident that happened to my uncle at about the same time as my experience. My uncle was a farmer in Illinois. He told me at my wedding that he was riding on his tractor one day in his field. He told me he was driving slowly and this gold metal object came up to him and his tractor engine stopped on his tractor. He said he was very frightened. The object moved around him. He tried to start his tractor to get away from the object but it still would not start. The gold metal object finally moved away and moved out of sight in a few seconds. His tractor started up again, just like other people have experience with their cars when they saw UFOs. I believe my uncle was being studied by a probe. He told me he prayed the entire time the object was studying him and that he was very frightened. I just think that it is very coincidental that my uncle and I saw these objects about the same time. It may not be. I decided to write you because I saw Seeing is Believing, UFOs with Peter Jennings last night and saw the interview with the gentleman with National UFO Reporting Center, and also this is the 60th anniversary of Roswell. I hope this helps by reporting what I saw 25 years ago and I have wanted to report this for many years. Thanks you.
Occurred, the 25th of July 1984, 4 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. Local location, Terre Haute, Indiana, USA. Shape, other duration, 1 hour. No of observers. 1 characteristics, aura or haze around object, glowing arrowhead-shaped craft with glowing white trail. I worked until 2 a.m. at my job, outside city limits. We also lived outside the city limits at this time. Getting home, I turned on the TV for relaxing. Around 4 a.m., I felt I could finally go to sleep. My cat wasn't in the house and fearing the roaming dogs, I went outside to look for it. I went out the back door, which faces east, walked around to the front, which faces west, looing down at the ground, under shrubs, etc. for the cat. The cat was out front under a bush, and as I bent down to pick it up, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a bright white light in the sky, which my mind said was the crack of dawn. Then as I fondled the cat in my arms, I realized that dawn would appear out in back, or the eastern sky, and this was west. I looked up at the southwest sky. There was a thick bright white trail, solid without separation waves, that a jet might leave. We have 3 big, cedar-type trees in the front yard, so I shifted my looking past the second tree, saw more of the trail, then past the third tree, saw more of the trail but followed it with my eyes to the northwest sky. I was dumbstruck, startled to see an arrowhead-shaped object, glowing a brilliant white as with an enormous amount of heat, at the head of the trail. It was moving slowly, as if encountering a force. It went on beyond my sight. The trail was still intact and visible when I finally went inside. The object might have been heading towards Chicago, or beyond. It was huge, even from the distance. I'm sure it was as high as the commercial jet planes that fly over our house. A few years later, I read the front page of a scandal rag-type newspaper while waiting in line at a supermarket. It had an interview from a psychic who told about this object and another incident I'd seen, a storm where a huge black storm cloud hung over a power plant and lightning produced a constant stream of what looked like Hebrew letters. I too saw that from my workplace window. This psychic said a young man in the Midwest had videotaped that cloud with Hebrew writing in it. So, guess I'm not the only one who saw both things. I was working at this business place from 1976 to 1986. By 1985, the cat in this note had disappeared and I had acquired other cats. I have vet papers for all my cats but have never looked up ones for the cat of note to pinpoint date closer. I know it was July 25th for sure because I noted it was my sister's birthday. Lastly, the object was not chevron-shaped nor triangle, so I said other because it looked exactly like an arrowhead, with the notch in bottom center.